to episode 22 of Spanish Answers. So, happy Veterans Day! In honor of our veterans, we are going to talk about some basic words you can use to kind of describe or talk about Veterans Day, but mainly this is just a tribute to all the amazing servicemen and women and all that you guys have done, and even to the ones that you guys will do. So, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, we'll start with some basic words like veteran, of course, and that's el veterano or la veterana, V-E-T-E-R-A-N-O, or for female, ends in an A. Veterans Day is el Día de los Veteranos de Guerra, el Día de los Veteranos de Guerra. And war is la guerra. Army hospital is el hospital militar. Victory, la victoria. Defeat, la derrota, 2 R's. Weapons, las armas. Now, if you are using military as an adjective, you say militar, like with Army hospital, el hospital militar. And Army reserve, la reserva militar. Army tank, un tanque militar. But you don't always use it that way because Spanish adjectives don't always function the same way as English ones do. That's because English takes a lot of nouns and basically we turn them into adjectives almost willy-nilly. It's really flexible in English, but that doesn't really work the same way in Spanish. Their nouns aren't always things that they can just turn into adjectives if they so desire. For example, Army brat is hijo or hija de militar. Now, this is not used as a term of disrespect by any means, at least as far as I'm aware. If you feel differently, please let me know, because that is not what this episode is supposed to be about. I just have heard this term from my mother, who defines herself as an army brat. Anyways, moving on. Sometimes the word you'll use is ejército or fuerza, like in standing army, una fuerza activa, or ejército permanente, un ejército permanente. Let's talk about the military branches real quick. Just in case you weren't aware, there are 5 different branches in the U.S. military. So we have, first off, military, las fuerzas armadas, las fuerzas armadas. You can also say los militares, but my understanding is that los militares is also what you would say, how you would call the people in the military. So military personnel would be personal militar. Army is el ejército, and that's E with an accent mark, R-C-I-T-O. Then you've got the Air Force, la fuerza aérea, So fuerza, F-U-E-R-Z-A, and then aérea, and then E with an accent mark, R-E-A. Then third, you've got Navy, la Marina, or la Fuerza Naval, Then you have Marine Corps, el Cuerpo de Marines de Estados Unidos, el Cuerpo de Marines. And last but definitely not least, the Coast Guard, los guardacostas. And here you want to ten cuidado, have some care, because in English, we use Coast Guard, and when we talk about the Coast Guard, it's kind of like a communal noun. So we take a group of people and we place them into one noun and we use it as a singular. So the Coast Guard is monitoring the situation. But in Spanish, they don't do that. It's singular if you're talking about one person, or it's plural if you're talking about many. So los guardacostas están monitoreando la situación. And just a reminder, the U.S. has an all-volunteer army, or un cuerpo de voluntarios. Huge thank you to all of our servicemen and women. And if you would like to say a word of thanks, here are some ways you can do it. So, thank you for your service. Gracias por tu servicio. Tu, if you are familiar with the person, obviously. If you're not, then you would want to use the respectful su servicio. Gracias por su servicio. Sacrifice, el sacrificio, el sacrificio. So if you want to say thank you for your sacrifice, you'd say gracias por tu sacrificio. Or, again, if you're not that familiar with them, use the respectful su. So gracias por su sacrificio. Some other important words are courage, el valor, courage, el valor, and that's with a V. Hardship, la adversidad, and hope. One of the most important things, la esperanza. On a side note, I love the word esperanza. When I was little, I read the series called Esperanza Rising. Don't remember really anything that it's about, but I really enjoyed the series. I remember that much. But because of that series, la esperanza is actually one of my favorite Spanish words. It just sounds so cool. And the meaning, I mean, come on, hope. It's amazing. So, los veteranos sacrificaron su tiempo, su salud y mucho más para su país. The veterans sacrificed their time, their health, and much more for their country. Los veteranos sacrificaron su tiempo, su salud y mucho más para su país. Entonces, gracias para su servicio. Okay, so that is all for today. If you have any questions or if there are topics that you'd like me to discuss, please send them to me at contact@languageanswers.com. That's contact@languageanswers.com. And if you never want to miss another episode, please subscribe either through iTunes or Google Play or Spotify or Transistor. You can find my podcast there. And if you liked this episode, please click like in YouTube or leave me a positive review, hopefully positive, on any of those subscription sites. So this episode is produced by Language Answers Limited, www.languageanswers.com. I am a translator, podcaster, and editor. And as always, all of my notes from the PowerPoint will be in the program notes. For this one, though, we didn't really have any research notes, as most of this was just vocabulary based. So if you do want to do some more research on vocab, I always recommend wordreference.com. They are what I use. And I mean, if you want, you can use Google Translate, but honestly, go to wordreference.com first. So that's it for today. Once again, thank you so much. Big shout out to all of our servicemen and women. This episode is dedicated to you guys and the amazing things that you guys have done and do. This is also to your families. Such a huge thank you to you guys, because I know that it's both you and your families that make really big sacrifices for your country, and it is appreciated. So happy Veterans Day, guys.